Hey, it's Greg Iverson here with your Tuesday tip for Tuesday, May 19th, 2020. As we creep into our second month of the quarantine, been fortunate enough to spend more and more time with our kids. And it's gotten me to thinking about back to the basics of parenting. Where my mind automatically goes is teaching them about money and budgeting. At times, Jesse thinks I'm crazy because they're 5, 3, and 8 months, but I figure no time better to start than 2 years old. So anyway, the next several tips will be centered around kids and money and things that we can start teaching them with budgeting really as young as 2 years old, I think. It has to be obviously pretty basic, but as I look back, the tools that are taught growing up that aren't necessarily taught in school, you'll learn about budgeting, money, things like that. They're programmed into your mind from a very, very, very early age. So Jesse and my goal with them is to teach them the basics just as early as we can. So today's Tuesday tip. I read a recent statistic that 1% of parents say that the allowance that they give their kids, only 1% of the parents said that their kids actually save a portion of it. Pretty scary. Same time, pretty simple. If you give an allowance, you're just not necessarily thinking, here, divide it up into a portion to savings, a portion to spending, that sort of thing. So what I did some research on it and brought back something that I had learned a long, long time ago, but more as it applies to kids now, living your life in thirds. And it can be spun a lot of different ways. And we'll talk in future tips about different ways to live your life in thirds, whether it be giving, tithing, saving, long-term investment, real estate, things like that. But to keep it simple for kids, living your life in thirds. So 1/3 of what you give to your children in the allowance or something they earn through a job, 1/3 to long-term savings, 1/3 goes to savings for larger items. So teaching them delayed gratification, putting $1 away today, buy the iPad in a year or a new bike or things like that. So longer term savings, but for larger items. So it teaches them the reward of waiting and letting that money accumulate over time. And then the other third is for immediate spending. So, one thing I think people can sometimes get carried away with, people being me, budgeting, saving. You have to kind of reward yourself along the way. And I think that starts with kids. So, that final third, immediate spending for us, for our son, Will, it's donuts. That's his big thing. So it's his money that buys that. So the allowance that I give him each week, he uses 1/3 of that is his spending primarily to pink ice donut with Frinkles, as he calls it. So, again, a little reward along the way makes the saving, especially for children, a lot easier, and it comes a lot more natural, and they learn to appreciate a lot more than just postponing enjoyment completely for kids, I think, and even for adults. It's hard to grasp that if you don't have a little bit of reward along the way. So again, 1/3 to long-term savings, 1/3 to savings for large items, bikes, iPads, whatever their interest might be, sporting equipment and things, and then 1/3 for immediate spending, donuts, candy, maybe a game on their iPad, an app or something that they can purchase. So what I think you'll find this develops with your kids, it can help teach them the value of long-term interest. Our 5-year-old is just starting to grasp it, or at least paying attention to me when I talk about it, but how interest can accumulate. Essentially the concept of money for nothing. I'm teaching them to work to earn that allowance. Well, if you save the money and you earn interest on it, you didn't actually have to work for the interest. And as we think about financial freedom, and especially those that are my age or a little bit younger, a little bit older, it's on everyone's mind these days. I think no better time than now to start to teach the kids that. Also teach, like I said, delayed gratification, saving today for the future enjoyment of it. And then also small but consistent savings add up. So $1 here, $1 there, next thing you know, it's $10. $1,000 saved this year and 20 years is thousands of dollars. So teaching them that concept, and whether they fully grasp it now or not, as I look back, and who really taught me about money. It was primarily both of my grandfathers. One was great with money, one was not so great. I think about that, and the basic principles that I just watched him instill in me just have stuck with me. No necessary, I wouldn't say a strategy or a game plan or anything, just this little small things here and there. Saving, for instance, really stick with you and build that foundation over time. So I know this was a little bit of a long one. This is something I'm super pumped about right now with kids and being home with them more than ever. Spending this time not only to play and have a great time, but if I can instill positive money habits in them, they'll serve them the rest of their life. So that's our Tuesday tip for the day. Stay tuned for the next several on, again, kids, budgeting, and saving. And I hope you make it a great week. Take care.